Welcome, spicy ladies. Some people carry peace, others carry storms, but a few rare ones carry truth. And that's what shakes the world. There's a different kind of woman walking among us. She doesn't speak to be heard. She doesn't force herself to be seen. She just exists. And in that quiet presence, everything begins to shift. That woman is the Sigma female. She isn't your average rebel or quiet introvert. She is something deeper, something heavier. She is what many don't recognize until it's too late. A divine karma messenger. She doesn't destroy lives. She reveals what was already broken. She doesn't cause chaos. She shows up right before everything starts to fall apart or finally fall into place. And that's not a coincidence. It's timing. It's spiritual alignment. If you are this woman, understand something clearly. You're not difficult. You're not cold. You're not too intense. You've just been placed in the kind of world that doesn't know what to do with truth. And that's exactly what you carry. Your energy doesn't match with lies. Your heart rejects manipulation. And your silence, that's not indifference. That's awareness. People feel it when you enter their lives. You reflect what they've been hiding from. You stir what they've tried to bury. That's not a burden. That's a gift. One not everyone is ready to receive, but one they will never forget. You're not here to fit. You're here to awaken. Keep being that mirror. Keep being the lesson. You are the reset button the universe sends when something needs to change. Let's dive into the spicy ladies. Number 1, they are reminders from the universe. You can't play with energy and not pay the price. Some people come into your life to teach you. Others come to expose you. But a Sigma female does both without even trying. She doesn't need to raise her voice or chase closure. She becomes the closure. She is the living proof that you can't play with energy and walk away without consequences. This kind of woman is not here to entertain drama or feed into emotional chaos. She observes. She listens. And when she's had enough, she removes herself fully, completely, and without a trace. That's when it hits. Not with a bang, but with a slow, knowing realization. You pushed away something real, something rare. See, people tend to think they can manipulate forever, lie without guilt, test loyalty just to see how far they can go. But with a Sigma female, there's no second round. There's no explanation. She gave you her trust once, and you gambled with it. Now you're left with the silence, the distance, and the cold truth she left behind. And that silence, it's not just quiet. It echoes. It follows you in the most unexpected places in the middle of your day when something reminds you of her laugh, or late at night. When you realize the peace she brought wasn't something you can replace. Imagine someone who never begged to be in your life, but still made it better. Someone who didn't need to compete, but somehow always stood out. Losing her isn't just a loss. It's a reckoning because she didn't come into your life to stay forever. She came to show you what you took for granted, and then she left without warning. Not to punish you, but because she doesn't belong where she isn't valued. That's what makes her divine karma. She doesn't destroy you. She lets your own actions do that. Spicy ladies, thank you for watching to here. I appreciate it. If you have same feeling, leave the spicy lady +1 comment below. That's my motivation. Let's continue. Number 2, they are spiritual accelerators. Sigma females are not just different. They are spiritual accelerators. Being close to one changes something inside you, and not always in a comfortable way. If you're ready to grow, she will push you further than you've ever gone. But if you're hiding behind lies, insecurities, or bad intentions, she will shake you without saying a word. She doesn't carry dead weight. She doesn't hold on to people who resist growth. She amplifies whatever is already inside of you. If there's fear in you, being around her will make it louder. If you're hiding your true self, she'll pull it out just by being herself. And if there's something powerful inside you that you've been too afraid to unlock, she'll challenge you to rise. She doesn't do this by giving lectures or playing therapist. She does it by being real and by refusing to shrink herself to make others feel comfortable. Take a moment and think about someone you were once close to, someone who made you feel seen and challenged at the same time. Maybe it was a friend or a woman you dated. At first, you felt drawn in. You thought she was quiet or mysterious, But then you started noticing something deeper. You couldn't lie around her. You couldn't stay the same. Either you stepped up or you stepped away. That's the effect of a Sigma female. She won't chase you. She won't beg you to evolve. But the longer you're around her, the harder it is to stay fake, confused, or stagnant. She doesn't judge you, but she doesn't let you settle either. This is what people miss. Her presence is not passive. It is pressure. Not the kind that breaks you. The kind that reveals whether you were ever built to grow. And if you are not ready for that, you'll find yourself drifting away from her wondering what just happened. Number 3, they don't destroy people. People destroy themselves trying to manipulate them. Sigma females don't go around trying to ruin people's lives. That's not their style. They don't need to argue, expose, or even defend themselves. Instead, they let people self-destruct. And it happens more often than you'd think. Not because she's cruel, but because manipulators can't handle someone who doesn't fall for their tricks. You can't play games with someone who refuses to sit at the table. And when that realization hits, it's brutal. See, most manipulators rely on control. They poke, twist, guilt trip, or charm their way into someone's mind until they feel in charge. But when they meet a Sigma female, the game stops before it even starts. She's calm, she's emotionally grounded, and more importantly, she doesn't react the way they expect. She doesn't take the bait. She sees right through the drama, and that terrifies them. Let's say someone tries to make her jealous by bringing up another woman. A typical reaction would be anger, confrontation, or insecurity. But a Sigma female, she'll quietly let it register and keep it moving. No raised voice, no fight, just silence. That silence, it's deadly because the manipulator was expecting chaos. Instead, they got indifference. Now they're spinning, confused, and realizing they don't have any power here. That's how it always plays out. She doesn't need revenge. She doesn't need to expose anyone. She just lets people show themselves. And once she's seen the truth, she detaches. Not to hurt you, but because there's nothing left to say. Manipulators destroy themselves around her because she won't feed their illusions. She won't respond to fake tears, guilt traps, or false flattery. She holds her peace like a weapon. And when you cannot control someone, you start losing control of yourself. That's the Sigma effect. You break your own mask trying to crack hers. Number 4, they bring endings that were overdue. Sigma females have a way of showing up in your life right when things are on the edge. And they don't push, they reveal. Suddenly, that relationship you've been forcing feels heavier. That job you've been pretending to love becomes unbearable. Those habits you've been ignoring start screaming for attention. She doesn't break things apart. She simply makes it impossible to keep pretending. She brings endings that were already overdue, and deep down you knew it. You knew that friendship was draining you. You knew that lifestyle was numbing you. You just didn't want to face it. But then she enters the picture and you can't ignore it anymore. Her presence has a way of clearing the fog. She doesn't say much, but something about the way she lives, the way she thinks, the way she moves. It forces you to confront everything you've been avoiding. Let's say you're in a relationship that's barely hanging on. You meet her and you start asking yourself why you've settled for so little. Not because she's trying to steal you away, but because she reminds you what self-respect and clarity look like. That's what divine alignment feels like. Uncomfortable, but necessary. Sigma females don't come into your life to entertain you. They come to realign what's broken. And sometimes that looks like things falling apart. But truthfully, those things were already cracking. She just made you brave enough to stop taping them back together. She's not chaos. She's clarity. And when she arrives, you either level up or let go. Either way, the things that are no longer meant to stay will start slipping away. Not because she's ending them, but because her presence makes settling impossible. That's not destruction. That's growth in disguise. Number 5, they force people to face the version of themselves they've been avoiding. Being around a Sigma female is not always comfortable. And that's exactly why her presence is so powerful. She doesn't try to fix you, and she doesn't tell you who to be. But somehow, just by being fully herself, she forces people to confront the version of themselves they've been avoiding. If there's insecurity in you, it will rise to the surface. Not because she points it out, but because standing next to someone so self-possessed makes you feel the weight of your own doubt. You start realizing all the ways you shrink yourself. You start hearing your own excuses louder. She doesn't shame you, but her quiet confidence puts a spotlight on everything you've been hiding from. If you're arrogant, her energy won't tolerate it. Not through confrontation, but through neutrality. She won't flatter you. She won't feed your ego. She simply won't play the game. And that alone is enough to shake someone who depends on validation. Her silence will challenge you more than any insult ever could. If you're lost, being around her is like holding a compass to your own soul. You start to realize how far you've drifted from who you truly are. Maybe you've been faking happiness. Maybe you've been numbing your intuition. But her clarity makes that fog impossible to ignore. That's the thing. She never forces anything. She just brings truth to the surface, and not everyone is ready for that. Some people grow from it. Others run from it. But no one walks away from her unchanged. She's not a mirror that flatters. She's a mirror that reveals. And what you see in that reflection depends on where you are in your own journey. But one thing is always true. After meeting her, pretending becomes harder. Denial feels heavier. And the truth, whether painful or freeing, becomes impossible to escape. Number 6, they test the soul, not the surface. Sigma females don't care about how well you perform on the outside. They're not impressed by charm, nice words, or polished behavior. That's surface level stuff, and surface doesn't fool them. What they're watching is your intention, your motives. What's behind the smile, not just the smile itself. They test the soul, not the surface. And here's what makes that powerful. Most people don't even realize it's happening. There's no checklist, no interrogation. She simply pays attention. She notices the pause before you answer. She sees when your words don't match your energy. She picks up on the little things most people miss. Not to judge, but to understand. Being around a Sigma female can feel strange if your heart isn't clean. Not because she's being rude or confrontational, but because her energy stirs up something uncomfortable. You'll feel exposed without knowing how. Guilty without being accused. Like you're being quietly scanned by someone who isn't buying the act. Let's say you come into her life pretending to be loyal, but deep down you're only there for attention or control. She won't call you out right away. She'll give it time. She'll observe. And when she sees the truth, she won't argue or explain. She'll detach fully and quietly. That's when it hits. That strange heaviness in your chest, like something real just slipped through your hands and you don't even know what you did wrong. But deep down you do, because you felt it from the start. Her presence invited honesty. Her silence demanded self-reflection. And if your soul was off, that room became too heavy to breathe in. That's the test. And most fail it, not because they were evil, but because they weren't ready to be real around her. Only truth survives. Everything else starts to fall apart. Number 7, they act as spiritual wake-up calls. Sigma females don't show up in your life to rescue you or carry your weight. They're not here to fix anyone. What they do instead is far more powerful and far more uncomfortable. They act as spiritual wake-up calls, not through force, not through lectures, but by becoming the mirror you didn't know you needed. When you look at her, you're not just seeing a woman. You're seeing yourself, everything you are and everything you're not yet ready to face. She doesn't try to change you. She simply reflects you. And that reflection, it's raw. It's honest. It's impossible to ignore. Some people look into that mirror and feel inspired. They start shedding the things that don't serve them. They let go of the fake friendships, the lazy habits, the emotional walls. They step up not because she asked them to, but because her presence made mediocrity feel unbearable. Others look into that same mirror and feel threatened. They feel exposed, like the masks they've been wearing are no longer working. And instead of facing what needs to change, they pull away. They avoid. They deflect. They disappear. She never plays savior. That's not her role. She will not hold your hand through denial, but she will stand silently, letting you see yourself clearly. And what you do with that moment, that reflection, decides what happens next. You can use it to rise, to rebuild, to realign. Or you can walk away and stay the same, haunted by the glimpse of who you could have been. Either way, once she shows up, you can't go back to sleep. She's not chaos. She's a choice. A moment the universe hands you and says, now it's on you. And that's why her presence is unforgettable. Not because she saves you, but because she reminds you that you've always had the power to save yourself. Number 8, they are divine timing in human form. A Sigma female doesn't just show up randomly in people's lives. She often appears at the most critical moment, that strange space between breakdown and breakthrough. She is divine timing in human form. Some might say it's coincidence, but those who've experienced it know better. Her presence marks a shift. Not because she forces it, but because something about her activates what was already trying to surface. She doesn't cause the transformation or the collapse. She simply catalyzes it. Maybe you were stuck in a cycle, numb to your own unhappiness, going through the motions and calling it life. Then she enters the picture. Not loud, not demanding, just real, and suddenly you can't pretend anymore. You start questioning the things you've accepted. You start feeling uncomfortable with the lies you've been telling yourself. She doesn't say change. She just lives in a way that makes settling feel unbearable. For some people, that presence wakes them up. It sparks growth. They begin to take themselves seriously. They start moving differently, thinking differently. For others who aren't ready to face themselves, it all unravels. Things fall apart, not because she broke them, but because those things were built on denial, and her energy refuses to co-sign the lie. Imagine someone lighting a match in a dark room. The light doesn't create the mess. It only reveals what's been sitting there all along. That's the Sigma female. She doesn't fix people. She reflects them clearly and unapologetically. And whether people rise from that or crumble under it depends entirely on where they are in their journey. But one thing is certain, after her, nothing stays the same. You either face what you've been avoiding or you drown in it. That's the power of her presence. She is not a coincidence. She is the turning point. Number 9, they're allergic to mediocrity and fakery. Sigma females don't waste time pointing fingers or calling people out. They don't need to. Their energy alone filters out anything fake. They are allergic to mediocrity and fakery in a way that's almost instinctive. If something feels forced, shallow, or performative, they simply don't engage. No drama, no debates, just quiet distance. And that silence speaks louder than any confrontation ever could. The thing is, most people are used to getting away with being half real. They know how to perform just enough kindness, just enough confidence, just enough humility to blend in. But when a Sigma female is in the room, that performance falls apart. She doesn't respond to it. She doesn't feed it, and that makes people uncomfortable, even angry. Not because she did anything wrong, but because deep down they know they can't fake their way past her. She won't laugh at fake jokes. She won't entertain empty conversations. She won't pretend to be impressed when she isn't. Her presence demands realness. And if you're not showing up as your true self, you'll feel it like a weight. Imagine trying to impress someone who just doesn't care about applause. You brag. You exaggerate. You play the usual games. And she just looks at you calm, unbothered, unreadable. That's when it starts to hit. The act isn't working. The mask is slipping. People don't hate her because she's mean. They hate her because she sees through what they're trying to be and only responds to what's real. She doesn't shame anyone, but her refusal to engage with mediocrity exposes it for what it is. That's the Sigma effect. She doesn't need to say a word. Her presence alone makes the fake feel out of place. And in a world addicted to appearances, nothing is more threatening than a woman who simply refuses to play along. Number 10, they are mirrors that expose hidden intentions. Being around a Sigma female feels different and not always in a comfortable way. She doesn't have to ask questions or dig into your story to figure you out. She sees through people without even trying. And it's not because she's suspicious or judgmental. It's because she's tuned into something deeper. She is a mirror and not the kind that flatters. The kind that reflects what you've been hiding even from yourself. When you're in her presence, your intentions start showing, even if you didn't mean for them to. That little lie you told to look better, she sees through it. That fake confidence you use to cover insecurity, she senses it. That secret agenda you hope to keep tucked away. She doesn't call it out, but her silence makes it echo louder than ever. It's not that she's confrontational. In fact, she's usually calm and quiet. But her calm creates a pressure, a kind of stillness that makes noise inside you. That's why people either grow around her or retreat. Because when the mask slips, she doesn't try to hold it up for you. She lets it fall. Let's say someone meets her and tries to impress her by pretending to be more successful, more confident, or more self-aware than they really are. She doesn't react. She doesn't reward the act. And that lack of reaction makes the person start to unravel. Suddenly, they're over-explaining, backtracking, or getting defensive. Not because she accused them, but because they can feel she doesn't believe it. That's the power of a Sigma female. She is a human truth detector. Not because she's trying to expose anyone, but because her presence demands honesty without saying a word. And here's the real beauty. If your heart is pure, she brings peace. But if you're hiding, she brings discomfort. Either way, she brings clarity. And once you've seen yourself in her mirror, you can't unsee it. Number 11, they are soul-level disruptors. Sigma females are not just unique. They're disruptive in the most soul-level way possible. They don't cause chaos for attention. They cause awakening. Their presence shakes people not because they try to, but because the way they live and carry themselves makes you question your own life. She doesn't have to speak a word. Just watching how she moves, her clarity, her peace, her refusal to shrink, forces people to look at themselves in ways they've been avoiding for years. She's the kind of woman who walks into your story and flips the script without even trying. Suddenly, you're questioning the friends you keep. You're rethinking the person you're dating. You're asking yourself why you've been playing small. She never told you to change, but something about her makes staying the same feel unbearable. She's not here to make you comfortable. She's here to reflect what you could be. And that can be terrifying. If you're ready, you rise with her. You level up. You start aligning your life with purpose and integrity because now you've seen what's possible. But if you're not ready, if you're threatened by strength, independence, and depth, you'll find yourself trying to dim her. And that never ends well. Trying to control her, belittle her, or pull her down will only backfire. Why? Because she's not participating in that game. And people who try to burn her out usually end up consumed by their own insecurity. She is not a storm. She is the change that happens after the storm, the quiet clarity, the deep shift. And if your foundation isn't solid, her presence will expose every crack. She doesn't just walk through life, she transforms it. And when you cross paths with a woman like this, you will either expand or collapse. There's no middle ground. That's what makes her a soul-level disruptor, a force you never saw coming, and one you'll never forget. Number 12, they enter lives silently and leave as storms. Sigma females never come crashing in with noise or demands. They enter lives quietly, almost unnoticed. No need for attention, no need to prove themselves. But what people don't realize is that their arrival marks the beginning of a shift. The kind that changes everything from the inside out. At first, she simply observes. She watches how you treat yourself, how you treat others. She listens more than she speaks. And while it may seem like she's just passing through, what she's really doing is feeling the weight of your world without needing to ask for a single explanation. Her presence is calm, grounded, but beneath that calm is something much more powerful. A quiet storm waiting for the right moment to move. By the time she leaves, and she always leaves when her spirit is no longer respected, everything starts unraveling. Not because she did something, but because her absence pulls the curtain back. People are often left wondering what just happened, why things feel heavier, why they suddenly feel lost. The truth is, she didn't break anything. She just made you aware of the pieces that were already broken. Maybe you were in a relationship that was built on pretense around her. You started to feel the weight of all that pretending. Or maybe you were hiding from your purpose, settling for comfort over growth. She never told you to change, but something about her made you want to. And when she walked away, you were left with a choice. Finally face the truth, or keep living the lie. Sigma females don't destroy, they reveal. And the storm they leave behind isn't about chaos. It's about awakening. Once they've touched your life, the version of yourself that could ignore the truth no longer exists. And that's what makes them unforgettable. You never see them coming, but you'll always remember the shift they left behind. In final words, the most powerful ones never ask for attention. They are the ones you remember long after they're gone. If you ever felt like you were placed in someone's life right before everything started falling apart or falling into place, that wasn't an accident. That was alignment. That was timing. That was you. You didn't create their karma. You simply activated it. Sigma females aren't here to save anyone or punish anyone. You're here to reflect. You carry a truth that most people spend years trying to avoid. And when they meet you, that truth can no longer be ignored. You don't break people, you break illusions. You don't need to raise your voice or prove your worth. Just by living in your own clarity, you force others to face themselves. And that's exactly why your presence is felt so deeply, even when you're quiet. There are people out there still haunted by your silence, still shaken by your exit, still wrestling with the lessons your presence stirred up. And maybe they'll never say it out loud, but you were the moment that changed them. Whether they rose from it or collapsed under it, that was never your responsibility. You were just the mirror, the turning point, the messenger. So if you've ever been misunderstood, dismissed, or even blamed for the chaos that followed your arrival, understand this. You weren't the chaos. You were the truth that revealed it. Keep standing in that power. Keep showing up without noise, without apology, without shrinking. You don't need to be liked. You need to be real. Because the world doesn't need more people who fit in. It needs more people who wake others up. Even if it's uncomfortable, even if it comes with silence, even if it leaves you alone sometimes. You're not here to play it safe. You're here to shift everything. Stay true to yourself. To all the spicy ladies make life beautiful, thank you for watching and God bless.